Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Quick Stop F1 Sauce on the pre-race show. You're with your brother from another mother, AMGDenz from the ends, baby. And listen, this week we're going down under, mate. I'm in the home country of Foster's Beer. I'm in the home country of Tarantula and them man there. I'm in the home country of Honey Badger and them man there. I'm in Melbourne, Australia, around Albert Park. And listen, we got to chop it up this week, man. It's going to be an awesome, fresh week with a highly revised circuit. I'm going to be bringing and chopping it up to you with a little history lesson on the circuit, a little tantalizingly sweet track guide showing you the map and some dynamics, and also maybe round two of DRS chicken between Leclerc and Max. And also, I've got a Park Ferme thing because this week I'm going to be bringing you the hot lap in maybe a different fashion. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go. All right, kids. All right, settle down, settle down. Recess is over, and you're with Professor Denz. I get into this very insightful history lesson. So let's take it back to the roots. The first race at Albert Park was in 1996, meaning that the circuit's almost as old as Jeez, man, circuit's almost as old as Uncle Nyasha. God damn it. Hashtag Uncle Nyasha. Hashtag Uncle Allegations. I need you guys to put those two hashtags down in the live chat because trust me, this guy is never escaping the Uncle Allegations. But bringing it back to the history lesson, think about it this way. You have a street circuit that's nearly 25 years old and it's been exposed to 25 years of rough, hot, gritty Aussie heat. And at some stage, the organizers have to take a view and at some point they're going to want to do restoration and maintenance to the circuit to make sure it can sustain its longevity. So the Australian Grand Prix Corporation and the likes of the CEO Andrew Westcott and also the director Mark Skife decided to take the opportunity to resurface and tarmac the entire circuit. And whilst they're at it, they were like, wow, whilst we're at it, we might as well just modify some of the corners so we can basically evolve the circuit and make it live up to modern day standards. So 7 corners have been modified, which we'll get into, and 2 corners have been removed as well, which we'll also look into in the next track map analyzation. So without further ado, let's get into that. So guys, now you join me for the track map analyzation, and to kick things off, we're going to look at the home straight, because even this has been modified, and when I say that, I actually mean that the pit lane has been widened, and that's at the expense of the racetrack on their home straight here, which has been narrowed. And essentially, the reason for this is twofold. Firstly of all, Formula One isn't the only racing series that comes to Albert Park. We also have the Porsche GT3 series that share the track on occasions with the F1 guys. And essentially, what was happening is that the pit lane itself was becoming far too congested. So they've opened that up slightly. And another benefit, which is another cool Easter egg to mention, is that the pit lane was so packed and so like skinny basically that when the top 3 drivers had finished the Grand Prix on a Sunday and they were parking their car up in Park Ferme, they had to actually drive underneath the podium facilities just to park their cars and create space for the other drivers to park their cars. So essentially a cool resto mod that they've done on this is essentially to widen the pit lane to give more access and to let the teams carry equipment and utilities back and forth more progressively, which is nice. Bringing it to the actual circuit itself, you can see in the first corner, so turn 1, that has been reprofiled and it's now been widened by 2.5 meters. Essentially, the theme that they were going for around here is to basically increase the minimum entry speed going into the corners so the cars could race more closely and you wouldn't get this chop and change kind of effect that you had with the old generation of cars in the dirty air. Then moving it down on the straight into turn 3, that's also been reprofiled, and again that's 4 meters wide. So again, lots of extensive work here to try and make the cars go around the circuit in a much more free-flowing way. Turn 5 hasn't been changed at all, but quite significantly, Turn 6, which leads on to the biggest revolution we'll come on to in a second, Turn 5, again, widened and modified by 7.5 meters. So I read in this section alone that the average speed was going to change from 165 miles an hour to over 200 kilometers an hour. And just to kind of fact check that, we're going to go onto this article, and as you can see here, where is she? Turn 6. So you have turn 6. It's been increased from 149 kilometers to 219 kilometers, which is nuts. The average speed of the circuit and obviously the lap times around here are going to be way shorter than they've ever been prehistorically. So then that brings us on to probably the biggest change you could physically see with the circuit, and that's been the removal of the chicanes at 9 and 10. So again, with the theme of increasing the average speed of the circuit, making it more free flowing, allowing cars to follow and basically chase each other, that's been completely removed, and now it's just a complete straight follow up to the very fast sweeping 11 and 12. And as we know with these ground effect cars, they're maybe not the best at slow speed corners, but under high speed conditions, it doesn't seem like much aero performance has been lost there. So it'd be cool to see how the drivers take 11 and 12. Is it going to be completely flat? Will they have to lift? Will they downshift? We're going to be learning a lot in practice as we see it all unfold. Another weird one, which you wouldn't think that they would do, but they have, is they've widened turn 13 as well. So this is going to be interesting and come into my DRS chicken segment I'll get into very shortly. But essentially, cars will have DRS from this section going on from turn 12. They'll be able to follow each other through this little kink, and then up to turn 13, this has been widened, which might promote some more overtaking opportunities as well, which we love to see. So coming back to 14 into 15, that's also been reprofiled, and again, it's just going to make the cars probably a bit more easier to follow each other. And I think some teams will be really glad because there's certain cars that don't really like low speed corners, and it's going to basically change the dynamic of that part of the circuit from a low speed corner to a more medium speed one in terms of its profile. So that's the actual track map analyzation. Now I want to bring it over to the DRS chicken segment. And I say DRS chicken segment because over the last two Grand Prix, we've seen quite a cat and mouse movement between Max and obviously Charles when it comes to the DRS detection points and who's going to get that. So I'm going to close this box here and I'm going to widen this. That's maybe too big. That's not what she said. Wink, wink. But jokes aside, let me just widen this. You can see that this circuit has two DRS detection points. So that's the point the car enters when it's 1 second behind another, and it will be able to use DRS. But then there are actually four DRS zones, which is nuts. So you have the one going straight onto the leading from turn 14 all the way down into turn 1. Then essentially you've got a back-to-back DRS activation point here as well, moving from turn 2 up to turn 3. So that's going to be quite key. And also with this reprofiled part of the circuit, which has removed the turns and chicanes from 9 and 10, you've got also a DRS detection point here and then an activation point from turn 8 onwards, and then another activation point once you get out of 10 all the way down into 11. So it wouldn't surprise me at all, like we touched on in previous episodes, if you do see a bit of DRS chicken, or I like to say cat and mouse between the drivers. They're going to strategically be thinking about holding back and sacrificing the track position to then get there up into the next section, because these are the longest and probably the best overtaking parts of the circuit. So now that we have that segment done, we're going to get into our track walk of the virtual circuit. And yeah, I've got some interesting developments in this as well to let you guys know about. Ladies and gentlemen, you join me for the virtual live version of the hot lap. Now, unfortunately, I had to work with a few technical limitations this week. The software I'd usually use to record these sessions, unfortunately, didn't have the latest installation of the Albert Park circuit, so I reverted to some different software. And I have to say a huge shout out to the Polish racing community for allowing me to take their version and build of the newest iteration of Albert Park. As you can see, that's not quite the W13, but I couldn't unfortunately get that iteration of the car into this simulator. So I had a word with Toto and I said, Uncle Toto, can't bust me a car. And he said, course, Denz, I've got just the thing for you. So, you might know her as the W11. I know her as the best race car that ever raced, and driven by one of simply the best race car drivers to ever live. So, without further ado, let's jump into her, and I'm gonna do just a medium speed out lap, and then I'm gonna give it full beans for the hot lap. Let's go. This section definitely looks a lot more reprofiled. That's practically flat on cold tires. Carry a lot more speed through there due to them widening the circuit. No chicane anywhere. This is completely flat up to turn 10 and 11. Wow, that's so satisfying. Wow, that is completely different. That is completely different. Like, look at where the track used to be, and look at this now. Like, there's so many different lines you could take into this sector, going into sector 3. Ooh. This section also looks slightly wider than before. And alright, we'll go for the hot lap now. I'm gonna put it in the highest strat mode, and let's go. W11, let's go! Ooh, big oversteer. That's completely flat. Wow, he can carry much more speed there. Gotta remember, there's no chicane here anymore, so just completely flat out to turn 10 and 11. Let's see how much speed I can take. Wow. This is awesome. Oof! What a drift! Wow. Oh man. Wow.
That was a 1:21.04.
1:21.04. Okay. What's the lap record around here? Let's go on the internet and find out. Do it again. Melbourne track record F1. Yeah, that's what we need. Wow! Oh my days! Literally, we're like 4 seconds quicker. We did a 1 minute 20, and Schumacher did a 1:24 back when 2004. So that was in the dominant F1 2004 car that broke all the records back then. So, oh man, guys, it's gonna be fun. I'm so excited. Just like you can see me getting so giddy, just doing this live takeover of the hot lap as well. So, without further ado, I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of the segment of the pre-race show. And as always, it's been your boy AMGDenz, and I'm out. Peace.